Welcome to Humphreys of Henley TV, countryside concierge at its finest. And we are still in the beautiful county of Somerset and right in the heart of England's, I was going to say the UK, but England's smallest city, Wells. And Wells is known as the jewel in Somerset's crown. Don't tell the others, but apparently it is. And as we've been wandering through this morning, you can easily see why. It's absolutely beautiful. And it is a tiny city. There are only 12,000 people who live here, although St David's, which is the UK's smallest city, has less than 2,000 people, so we're not quite at that scale. But this is just lovely, and behind me you can see the reason that it is a city, the fabulous Wells Cathedral. And there's so much history, I don't almost know quite where to start, but Wells has been in existence as a place of residence and trade and so on for the last 1,000 years. It was built up around the natural springs, which is where Wells gets its name from. There are 3 main wells within the city, which is where the city gets its name from, and obviously is the source of water for all of the inhabitants. And we've discovered, actually, while having a walk around and doing a little bit of research, that there are 3 amazing similarities to Henley, which is where, as you may well know if you're a regular watcher, is where we are based. Henley has about just over 12,000 inhabitants as well, and we also both share a massive annual event. In Wells it's in August, in Henley it's in July, but it's all based around the water. And Henley is obviously Henley Regatta, and in August in Wells they have the annual Moat boat race, and apparently people create all sorts of various crafts and so on, and winning the annual Moat boat race is there's huge kudos attached to it, and even the bishop himself entered a boat, I think a few years ago. And just the same as Henley Regatta, they have to move the swans out of the moat, because obviously you can't damage the swans. They are all owned by Her Majesty the Queen. And so they have to remove them once a year for the annual Moat boat race, just as we do in Henley. There's also a fabulous tradition around the swans that's been going since about the 13th century, where they have all been taught to ring a bell when they want to be fed. The bells are attached to pieces of rope, and the mute swans go over and summon whatever food it is that they're going to be given when they ring the bell, which is rather fabulous. So the cathedral behind me is absolutely extraordinary and has the largest collection of medieval sculpture and medieval stained glass. It's absolutely stunning, and you just wander around almost just gazing up in absolute awe at what's been created. It dates back, they started building it back in 1270, so it's got a fair amount of history under its belt. There's a rather fabulous clock, and on the quarter hour it's well worth watching, because knights come out and move around the clock, and they're jousting on every quarter hour. And there's a rather lovely story that it was hand wound, the clock was hand wound until 2010. And the keeper of the clock had to wind this clock. It took an hour 3 times a week, so it was a bit of a commitment. Anyway, it's now all done electronically, and is obviously a whole lot easier for all those involved. The Bishop's Palace that is next door to us is absolutely stunning, and people just sitting there. It's a Sunday morning and people just sitting out in the gardens, drinking coffee, having a lazy Sunday morning, which is just beautiful. Now the Bishop's Palace was obviously built for the Bishop of Wells, and they used to have the whole thing. Now they've got a slightly smaller part, so the public can make the most of the incredible gardens. There's an arboretum, there's topiary, there are formal gardens, there are Dutch gardens. They've really put some thought and effort into it, and they're just beautiful and well worth having just a little wander around. So the Bishop is still very much part of the life in this beautiful little city. So I hope I've given you a a reason to come here. We're still about 3 hours from London, so I'd really recommend booking a night or two and staying down here. There is no train station, but that's no problem. We can easily organise a car for you. But it's worth just wandering around and soaking up the history and the stories and meeting some of the locals, who are all incredibly friendly, I'm pleased to report. We look forward to seeing you next time.